Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to a fun MLB trade rumor video. This is part 2 of the Yuli Gurriel video. We're going to get into all of those details, what I was talking about in that one. This is also like the fallout, if you will, of the Pablo Lopez and Luis Arraez trade, the Marlins and the Twins that they did yesterday. So I'm just going to have fun with this video, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, please let me know down in the comments below if you agree, disagree, if this is crazy, or, you know, if what you would do, I guess, in that situation. But also, if you do enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button. We are almost to 4,000 subscribers. It'd be great if you wanted to tag along and enjoy some more baseball content in the off season. So let's jump into the video. This all stems from a tweet, by the way. Like, that's where I got this idea from, but also some trade rumors that we've talked about previously on the channel. So if you don't know, the Pablo Lopez trade, Pablo Lopez for Luis Arraez plus a couple of prospects to Minnesota, and that was crazy, right? 4 days ago, the Twins came out and said that they are not trading Luis Arraez. However, there was conversations like back in December that yes, there still is conversation with Luis Arraez and Pablo Lopez. But on this channel, we had covered that the Marlins wanted Max Kepler. The Twins needed to get rid of Max Kepler because they have so many left-handed bats in the outfield. Max Kepler being on his decline, it just didn't make sense necessarily to keep him. He still has some trade value. So he was supposed to be the guy, plus a couple of other moves maybe, from the Twins for Pablo Lopez. And the same thing goes with the Marlins. They have just an excess of pitchers. Pablo Lopez is a guy who some team can get control of for a little while, but also he's not Sandy. He's not super young like these 24-year-olds that they have coming up. It made sense to get rid of him as well. So the conversation became Max Kepler and whoever for Pablo Lopez. Again, like I just previously mentioned, that didn't happen. It was Luis Arraez instead. But I think there is a world. It's very crazy. It's very rare. It probably won't happen. But I think there is a world where the Marlins and the Twins are not done trading with each other. And maybe more biased from a Twins fan, I think that it would be wild, but I think they can get Luis Arraez back. So it's very clear that a lot of Twins fans are not happy with this trade. They like Luis Arraez a lot, and they want him on the team. Obviously, he was the former batting champion, or last year's batting champion. He's pretty good. It's really sad to see him go. However, I talked about it in yesterday's video. The Twins got what they needed, and in the sense that the shift is being banned, I think Kepler has a lot more value with the Twins than most would think. He got screwed a lot last year and the previous 2 years because of the shift. I'd like to give him a chance, but again, I still think he is the first to go of all the young lefties. So here's what I propose. Like I said, I don't think the deal is done. You do still trade Max Kepler and X for some guys with the Marlins. This would be a very loose proposed trade. So Max Kepler has been shown interest by the Marlins. He's number 1 on the list. I am still a fan of either getting rid of Polanco or Royce Lewis. I don't want to get rid of Royce Lewis, but I think that he holds more value, so I think teams would want him. And I think that he would fit on the Marlins well because he is a versatile player from the right side with speed, power, and a good glove. Right, so I think that you go Max Kepler, number 1, because the Marlins need help in the outfield from more veteran experience. If they go with the middle infielder guy of Royce Lewis or Polanco, you're getting a either switch hitter or you're getting a young, powerful, good glove, good speed guy. Throw in another prospect. And you can trade that for Luis Arraez if you get him back. The kicker is, and why I think this actually could be a possibility, is not just because of those things, right? Like getting Luis Arraez back, why wouldn't you have just done that in the first place, right? Here's the thing. I think you can specifically target the needs of the Marlins a little bit better. Yuli Gurriel, this is part 2 of that video, kind of. Yuli Gurriel is a team or a player that both teams could need. Like I've said, the Marlins, this is the guy they go after. That is the player that they literally go out and find every single year. A guy who is like 35 to 39 years old, who is older, who has declined, who they can get for cheap because his contract was not good the year before. perfectly fits him, right? The Marlins could use that guy for experience because they only have really one first baseman. I don't really consider Luis Arraez a first baseman, but I guess that's kind of what he would play. So there is potential there. If the Marlins sign him, if the Twins sign him, and trade him to the Marlins. If the Marlins sign him, he could go to the Twins because the Twins only have Kirilloff really as their first baseman. They could use a second guy to platoon there. It kind of makes sense that either team, because they both are showing interest in Gurriel, either team could sign him and then potentially trade him right away to the other team. And then that's where you get into a little bit more of the depths of the roster, the farm system, right? If the Twins really want Luis Arraez back, I know this is mostly because of the fans, and there is that Twitter post that I was talking about. If Luis Arraez comes back to the Twins, you're going to have to give up something for him. Luis Arraez for Kepler, Polanco or Royce, and Yuri Gurriel. Boom. There you go. And maybe if the Marlins want to throw in another prospect, or if Yuri Gurriel is on this side, then you throw in a prospect if you're the Twins. Boom. The Twins get Luis Arraez back. And you have Pablo Lopez if you're the Twins. Like, that is where I'm going with this, is this will probably not happen. And I know this is just a cry from Twins fans to go get their star second baseman / first baseman who was the batting champion last year. But does it make sense? Like, think about this realistically. Does it make sense? Why would the Twins give up their batting champion, right? The only reason you could say is because if he doesn't perform at that level, right? If he becomes a 300 hitter instead of a 320 to 325 hitter for most of the season, he does not have that much value, right? The reason he was perceived so high was because of that title of batting champion. That's why he was able to pretty much be traded, straight up for Pablo Lopez, plus the Twins got a prospect, a top 5 prospect. So it's like there is that part of it that is like Luis Arraez is probably not as valuable as he was targeted for. And I think maybe the Marlins, they could realize that and say, oh, we just gave up a lot for Luis Arraez. Let's try to get something back. Plus, we need a player like Yuli Gurriel. Plus, it would be good to have a younger player like Royce Lewis. Plus, hey, we wanted Kepler in the first place. It doesn't make sense why the teams wouldn't just trade these things in the first place. And again, I don't think Gurriel is the player that moves the needle, but maybe this opened up some eyes here. And it allowed the Twins to maybe dig deep into their farm system and say, okay, now that we have Salas, who is a 19-year-old. He is supposed to be this great, I think he's a left-hander, is that right? Maybe he's a switch hitter. I can't remember from yesterday. My bad. Go find out in the video yesterday. I don't have it pulled up here. But regardless, he is a young player who's supposed to have a great bat. Like I said, he is supposed to kind of mimic like what Luis Arraez is. Now we have him at 19. Okay, where can we get rid of somebody now? Austin Martin comes to mind. I'm not a huge fan of Austin Martin. I don't think he's done much, but he's also a young guy who has a lot of talent that maybe fits the needs of the Marlins more based on certain attributes. Or maybe that isn't the best example because I think Salas is an infielder. Gosh, let me just look this up now. I can't remember from yesterday. So, Jose Salas, shortstop. Yeah. So maybe you play a guy like, I don't have him off the top of my head. I think Royce Lewis is still probably your best bet because of the potential that he has, and now maybe that's a bigger need for the Marlins. But again, you've got Martin. You have so many prospects that are infielders now. That's the same problem the Marlins had with pitching, the Twins have with infielders, and now major league outfield left-handed hitters, right? The Twins have excess of so much. They need pitching, but that's not the point. The point is that you've got a switch hitter now. I'm looking at Salas, a switch hitter shortstop who is very young. He will be your future, right? Take a look at Austin Martin or Royce Lewis now. Do they fit, right? In that specific instance, do they fit, or does Salas cover that? And same thing with the Marlins. It's like, okay, now we have Luis Arraez. We're moving Jazz to this position. Do we need another outfielder? Can we get rid of Blade now? Can we get rid of, insert your player here, right? So I think that this allows the teams to look at it a little bit deeper and say, where do we really need to fill positions. And I think Yuli Gurriel is not necessarily a needle pusher, but I think if both teams are interested in him, of the teams, every team in the league, right? The two teams that just made a huge trade yesterday are both interested in another player. Clearly, they both want him. I'm just saying he might not be the needle pusher, but he helps, right? So this is why I make this video, because there is a very small chance that Luis Arraez could come back to Minnesota, and you're still not giving up a ton. If you're a Twins fan, you're giving up the right pieces, right? Like I said, we love Royce Lewis, but does he serve a purpose anymore? We love Kepler, maybe because the shift is now gone, but does he serve a purpose anymore, right? And the same thing with the Marlins. It's like, okay, now that we have Jazz playing center field, is Blade our best option? Or since he's young and we have a lot of talent we could trade, could we get rid of him for somebody else, right? It's a huge discussion, and that's why I want to turn it to you guys. I know this isn't likely, but would you like to see it? Maybe that's the comment you leave, or maybe this is possible, right? Because of the needs both teams have now after this trade is done. So huge deal with this whole trade and the fallout of everything, but it's just fun to talk about different trade possibilities, especially since I'm a Twins and a Marlins fan. So just fun to entertain. But that's why I turn it over to you. I hope you guys do enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.